Alright, so I'm back. So, about a year ago, I was reading Stephen King in publication order, which brought me to The Stand. This book broke me. Do you see the size of it? This paperback is like 1,300 pages. The library took my audio copy away about the halfway point, so I had to buy the book because I was not waiting another like 6 months to finish it and then read it physically. And I hated every single second of it. Like 1,300 pages, there's probably enough plot to fill a short story if I'm being generous. I don't understand the love of this story. That is me asking you, if you love this book, please tell me why. What about this story do you love? Because I hear like reviews saying, oh, this character is my absolute favorite character in fiction, or he's my favorite Stephen King character. And I'm like, really? Because I had to go to the Wikipedia page every time someone started talking and be like, okay, who is this one? Is this the one who played guitar? Is this the one that's dating that one? Is this the one who was with the lady who commits suicide? Because they all felt interchangeable. None of them had like a distinct voice to me. A strong personality, a driving factor. If you had switched out Stu, Larry, Glenn, names I cannot remember, I wouldn't have noticed because they all kind of act the same to me. Nothing about their goals, dreams, ideas, how they would react in certain situations felt like different people. The female characters are probably some of the worst in fiction that I've ever read. I started over this video because I realized I was being too mean. So this is me being nice. But if you do like this story, please tell me why. I want to know what you liked about it. But essentially, The Stand is a story where a global superflu has taken over and wiped out, I think, everyone but like 0.7% of the population who have a natural immunity. And like about this much of the story, I genuinely enjoyed. Seeing how the superflu was, we'll say, escaped from the government facility. This is totally a war crime, I'm pretty sure. I should not have been researching this. How it had escaped, the failure to contain it by sheer coincidence. That definitely wasn't someone's plan. And how it infiltrated the communities, how it spread, and how you're seeing different families, some just in the middle of arguments, some who you care about, some showing genuine kindness, wanting to help, and then they just cough. And you're like, oh God. We know as the reader what is about to happen, and that building dread of knowing what is to come when the characters don't was wonderful. No arguments here. Yeah, the opening of this book, fantastic. Everything else I'm going to say is probably too close to spoilers, so I'll get to that later. But my main issue is going to be that in this kind of apocalyptic situation, should it be, hey, I struggle to find food, shelter, anything, just surviving? No, it's no issue because everyone just got wiped out so suddenly. There's plenty of food, cars got gas, many of them are already on the road, pharmacies haven't been picked clean yet. Like, that is not a struggle. So, okay, is the struggle finding a safe place to live? No, because this book is a clear good versus evil where people are getting psychic messages and dreams telling them, hey, go to location A or go to location B. Location A got the good people, location B got the bad people. Choose which one you want to go to. It's a little bit more gray than that in terms of which one do you think will give you a better chance of survival. Maybe a little bit is which one's closer to you. But essentially, good people go to A, bad people go to B, and then we'll go from there. That's as much details I'll go in the spoiler-free, but when it's that simple, when you don't have a driving narrative really, it's kind of boring to spend all those pages traveling to get there. And it's just like the biggest threat is the looming groups that are headed to place B, and it's like the threat of sexual assault. And I get this book was written in the 80s, I think. Like, it probably was one of the ones that popularized the apocalyptic hellscape and the roaming groups of violence that would be enacted upon people who get caught by them. But in my opinion, in an apocalyptic book, if the biggest threat is just the journey and the threat of sexual assault, that is boring. It's low-hanging fruit. It's not entertaining. And I don't, nothing else could have been going on because it's literally just traveling around to get there. I did like how, okay, we're following different groups as they travel to get to location A, and they'll be crossing paths with the other groups and seeing things that had been left behind. Okay, so I wasn't hating the journey. But the outright messages from God telling them what to do to make everything all right, no, not for me. Now, I get people love the characters. I don't know why, but people do, and you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm sure you got some out of this that I did not. But to me, none of them felt like individual characters. They felt like they represented an idea. This idea of altruism, of selfishness, of nihilism. One was a sociology professor, another was a judge. I did like the judge. But like they seemed like they were just pushing an idea, a theme, a message, rather than being an individual character. There's good themes on democracy versus dictatorship kind of thing. But when it feels like a book is just pushing themes rather than a compelling narrative story, that's what got me. Not a fan. Not my personal preference. If you're someone who enjoys a theme, a message, a point, something the author is very clearly trying to say and it's in your face, not subtle about it, then yes, I can see people enjoying that type of book. Back to characters. No, we're gonna go a little bit light spoilers now. I feel bad about myself that Harold was my favorite character. Yeah, I'm judging myself for that too. He is 100% incel, should be wearing a fedora, woe is me, the world is so cruel, I deserve good things. But he also has the most interesting character arc dynamic and is actually pushing the story forward. And while I don't personally like how where he ended up going, I kind of wanted him to make other choices. I like a character arc, and he has definitely undergone and went through one. My least favorite character would be the one whose hair went blonde. I can't remember her name. It starts with an N. Nadine, that's what it was. We'll talk about her in spoilers, which I think we're going to have to get into now, because I've said everything I can with spoiler-free. Not for me. Again, enough plot to be a short story that has been stretched out across 1,300 pages with characters I do not care about. Oh my god, what do you even say about that ending? The most ridiculous, stupid, pointless, not worth the build-up ending, and far too, while I'll give you their shades of gray, it leans far heavier towards good versus evil, black and white kind of characters to me. I'll give you there's a little bit of shades of gray to them, but nothing surprising. The villain, I can talk about the villain spoiler free. I like him, this Randall Flagg guy. I will eventually read The Dark Tower, so I need to know who he is. But I like that his biggest character flaw is that when things don't go his way, he throws a complete hissy fit and then makes things worse for himself. That's an interesting character trait and dynamic. I genuinely like that. Now on to spoilers. We're going to talk about basically summarizing this plot to be, world went to hell. They had to get to either Boulder, Colorado, and the bad people are in Vegas. I did like the fact that in the Boulder community, the free zone, they spend so much time with meetings and who can speak and any objections. Very much democratic. You have some people who are just slacking off and they're not making very much progress. Whereas in the Vegas evil location, he's ruling as a dictator, but he's not letting anyone just slack off. They all have to pull their weight. There's no one's doing drugs. No one can lose control of themselves, because if they upset the man in charge, well, they're going to get crucified. So they're making a lot of progress. And I like that difference between there. But then you have characters who just go off on their own, decide to blow up a bunch of planes because of insecurities in childhood, that then decides to bring a nuke back to their own community thinking it's a good idea. Meanwhile, God quite literally told these 4 or 5, I don't know, they were all interchangeable to me, people from the community of the Boulder Zone, Free Zone, to go over to Randall Flagg's area. Do not prepare. Don't shoes that you're wearing, clothes that you're wearing, just go there. God said so. And go to that community. And I will give the benefit of the doubt that because they ended up there, because they showed up for their own execution, everyone was in one area and a person kind of said, hey, this probably isn't right. So when the demon buddy was about to execute the person saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't just execute these people without trial, basically, this is inhumane, the one bringing the nuke showed up at the exact same time, and it's either the hand of God or the demon buddy about to execute the one who was speaking out against him caused the nuclear explosion and everyone to be wiped out. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt that if those 3-4 people were not there, then this situation couldn't have been precisely made to happen. But like that nuke was coming back one way or the other, whether they were there or not. So I still feel like it could have happened without God telling them to show up at that community. I don't understand. It was resolved so pointlessly. It was the biggest issue before that was how were you going to get the electricity on before winter? And I can't tell you anything else interesting about the plot. It's a little bit of who's sleeping with who. Oh, Nadine, who wanted to sleep with one who may have been sleeping with Sue, and he went through his character arc of I was a shitty person to certain people, I'm going to better myself, therefore I'm not going to cheat on my now girlfriend with this other lady that I've been traveling with. So he rejects her, and she apparently had been having dreams of the Randall Flagg guy since like teenager, childhood, whatever. So this one whose entire personality is based on her virginity and trying to break up this other relationship says, yep, well, I guess I'm not welcome here because the child that I was pseudo-raising that I found during this plague has also rejected me, sort of. So I'm going to go over to the evil community and totally being cool with being a sex slave for Harold because the evil guy needs him on his side to blow up Boulder here. But God's going to intervene again to warn people about the bomb that he was making. So really it accomplished nothing other than killing like a couple people instead of everybody. And then she goes, gets assaulted by the demon buddy, becomes pregnant with his child, which was the only thing the demon buddy wanted. But then very easily gets the demon buddy angry enough, like a day after being impregnated. So he throws her out a window. And she'd like commit suicide by getting him angry in a single day. After he had spent years and years and years supposedly manipulating her, not that we really see much of that manipulation, just her very desperation at the very tail end of it, trying to seduce the other guy so she had a reason to stay, but it failed. Yeah, all that work, all that buildup, all the way to get her to him, threw her out a window immediately after getting what he wanted, but before she gave birth. So, yeah, that happened with her. I didn't even mention how racist this book was, how it describes characters, the slurs that are used in it. Like, I know this book, when was this written? Copyright 1978, 1990, by Stephen King. I feel like this was even racist for its time. I refuse to believe that people didn't read this going, seriously, that's a little much to say. I think besides the build-up beginning, my favorite part was probably the person who was in prison and starving to death as everyone has either died or left the prison, fled when the superflu was going around. There's also the idea of, is this the end of the human race? Because they don't know if babies born during this time will even live or survive, since again, 0.7% survived the initial outbreak of it all. So some cool ideas in there. Jumping in, because just to add that Stephen King definitely had a lot he wanted to say about the human race, how when you build society, people are going to betray each other, there'll be war, there'll be conflict. If it was only a few people, then yes, there would be true peace, but when you get too many together, bad stuff's going to happen. But also commentary on the destruction of the mass weapons that have in society, nuclear weapons. There's talk about how the next generation won't understand the devastating power that these weapons have and will just treat it like toys. Everything that's been left behind by the society that's now been destroyed, and they have to deal with the fallout of these things just existing. But, like, there's not much plot, and I didn't like the characters. This book feels like all themes and vibes with nothing else driving the narrative forward. Okay, this was definitely my most negative Stephen King review. Please keep in mind, I'm reading his books in publication order because there are books here that I absolutely love and adore. Some of my favorite pieces of literature in general have been Stephen King books, namely Carrie, Misery, Pet Sematary, like favorite books of all time. This one just did not work for me. But genuinely, if you like this book, I do want to know why. But I'll be on to the next Stephen King book. I'm also going to continue on with Mistborn. I also got to continue on with the Dresden Files. I got to continue on with my anime and manga. So many books, so little time. All right, talk to you later. Bye.